What's good, Hoopers? In today's video, we're going to go over early stage hamstring activation strengthening exercises post ACL. This also can work for you if you had a hamstring strain and it's like early in your rehab. So we're going to show you some isolated hamstring exercises that can help progress you to kind of like from early stage to middle stage, just because some people don't know where to start with the hamstring, and it tends to be a group that is underutilized and under rehabbed in terms of for ACL. And some people for hamstring strains just don't know where to start. So we're gonna go over some exercises, gonna give you some cueing on how to do it. And yeah, we'll get into it right now. For those that don't know me, my name is Dr. Gabe, co-founder of the Basketball Doctors, Doctor of Physical Therapy, and certified orthopedic clinical specialist. And we're gonna go over some exercises for you. So first one, very simple. We're gonna do activation isolated work. So it's called a hamstring dig. We're gonna start about 90 degrees of knee flexion. So knee joint is where we're getting the angle for 90 degrees. Gonna point my toes up, dig my heels in to the table, and from there, core tight, squeeze the glutes, and then pull so that the hamstring muscle turns on. And you're gonna hold that for different amounts of time. I usually say start with 5 seconds, progress yourself to longer and longer. You're going to want to do that from 3 sets to 10 reps depending on how long you're holding it. Ideally want to get to about a minute of hold time. And then from there, that's 90 degrees. You're going to work this in different degrees of range of motion. So the progression for that is around 60 degrees of knee flexion. And then from there, same thing. Make sure your core is engaged, glutes engaged, dig into the table. Really feel those hamstrings work. If you're just digging your heels in and you don't feel your hamstrings, that's not what we want you to do. We really want you to feel your hamstring muscles working when you do this exercise, and be conscious of that awareness, because as you get tougher into exercises, you want to make sure you're doing that correctly and feeling it where you need to be feeling it. And then finally, you're going to get into 30 degrees of knee flexion, so pretty much straight, core tight. Really dig those hamstrings in, really feel those muscles work, get that mind-muscle connection going, and hold it for the same amount of sets and reps. You could do a combination of starting up high, working your way lower and lower, but holding it for different times, or you can do all at 90 degree first, digging there, do a couple sets there, then into 60 degrees, and then into 30. The more straight you are, the more challenging it is. Okay? So that is isometric heel digs for hamstring, and the next progression to that is hamstring focused bridges. So we're going to do a combination of hamstring and glute activation. So I want about 90 to 60 degrees of knee flexion to start off with. You're going to engage your core, so a little bit of posterior pelvic tilt to get your pelvis and glutes active, and then from there you're going to dig your heels in and you're going to bridge up. You're going to feel a combo of your glutes turning on and your hamstrings, but with this, like that mind-muscle connection we were telling you about, is I want you to focus more on the hamstrings. So making sure you're keeping that posterior pelvic tilt, bridge up, and then really focus on that heel dig. So right now I'm probably feeling 80% hamstrings, 20% glutes, and a little bit of core activation. Okay? Same thing, you want to start with isometric holds, build up from 5 seconds to 30 seconds. Do a certain amount of sets, work your way up to a minute, minute and a half. Okay? Once you're done with that, we're going to go a little bit straighter. So you're not going to be able to get as high with your bridge. So same thing, posterior pelvic tilt, squeeze the glutes, squeeze the hamstrings, bridge up, and really pull in with those heels, and you'll really feel more of like 90% hamstrings, maybe 5 to 10% glutes, and you're always working on maintaining that core activation. Okay? The next progression to that is bridge walkout, so another hamstring specific, but you're also activating the glute and core and making sure your pelvis is staying nice and even, not rotating. Okay? So you're gonna posterior pelvic tilt, bridge up, dig those heels in, and then you're gonna slowly walk your legs out straight. And as you lift one leg, you really want to make sure your hips aren't rotating too much. Some movement side to side is normal. And you really want to make sure you're digging those hamstrings in all the way down. And then you're going to rest down at the bottom, bend your legs up, and you're gonna repeat. So if you're able to do this, again, don't go nice and slow, don't go fast through it. Go nice and slow. If you get all the way straight and are able to, you can walk all the way back up. But if walking back up when you're fully extended is difficult, just come down and reset. So start here, really dig those heels in, all the way straight, come down, and then bend the legs up. Recommend doing about 8 to 12 reps there, 2 to 3 sets. Okay, and then I wouldn't say this is necessarily a progression, but another good exercise to work on when your hip is extended and working into hamstring activation. So my left leg's gonna be the reference leg here, and we're gonna do hamstring curl isometric. So we're gonna start at 90 degrees of knee flexion. Gonna use my non-working leg, my right leg, to push down and up. So we're working my left hamstring, right quad, and really trying to feel that hamstring work, getting that activation going. Same thing as all the other ones, hold for 5 to 30 seconds and increase your sets depending on how long you will make the holds. And then you want to work to a minute, minute and a half. Okay, and progression from there is around 60 degrees or 45 to 60 degrees. Hold it there. Really feel that hamstring. You even put your hand there to get that activation, making sure your core is tight. A little bit of glute squeeze, but mostly focusing on that hamstring. And then finally, about 20 to 30 degrees off the table, pushing into your heel there, feeling that hamstring work. Okay, so just to recap, showed you about 4 different exercises there with some progressions and things that you can work on. So we got the heel digs at 90 degrees, 60 degrees, and 30 degrees from the table. And then hamstring bridges, and then bridge walkouts, and then prone isometric heel curls. So just work on those, feel what rights for you. Not necessarily a really tough exercise, but if you had a strain or you're just recovering from ACL, it can be challenging. Pick the right exercise that works for you, making sure you feel the muscle working and you're able to hold it for the prescribed amount of time without too much fatigue. If you don't have too much fatigue and it feels about right, then progress to the next one. If you feel like you're fatiguing out and your form breaks down, stay at that level or maybe regress if you need to. If you have any questions, put them down in the description below. We did this because there was a question about hamstring activation in our ACL Q&A. We'll put the description down below on the link to that video if you're interested in learning about common questions that were asked from our audience. And then if you have any other questions, feel free to ask. If you liked this video, please like, subscribe, share with your family and friends. We are the Basketball Doctors. Let's ball for life.